ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Next, another terminology is homeothermics. Before going to that, poikilothermic and homeothermic animals. What is the poikilothermic? What is the homeothermic? What is the meaning of the poikilothermic? Means if the animal body temperature is not maintained constant, if animal body temperature is changes with the environmental temperature, then that is said to be as the poikilothermic. Or these are also called as ectothermic individuals or cold-blooded individuals. So the animals whose body temperature is changes as per environmental temperature, that animals are said to be as the poikilothermic animals or the ectothermic animals or the cold-blooded animals. What are the better example for them? Means fishes, amphibians, reptiles are examples for poikilothermic or ectothermic or cold-blooded. This is very important. So definitely, what is the poikilothermic means? The animals whose are not able to maintain constant body temperature, whose body temperature is changes as per environmental temperature, such animals are said to be as the poikilothermic or ectothermic or cold-blooded. For example, fishes, amphibians, reptiles. Next to homeothermic. What is the meaning of the homeothermic? The animals whose body temperature is maintained constant irrespective of environmental temperature, such animals are said to be as the homeothermic. The animals whose body temperature is maintained constant irrespective of environmental temperature, such animals are said to be as the homeothermic or endothermic animals or warm-blooded animals. Animals whose body temperature is maintained constant, irrespective of environmental temperature, such animals are said to be as the homeothermic or endothermic or warm-blooded. Means their body temperature never gets changes, though in surrounding environment temperature gets increases or decreases, without concern that, without depending upon the environmental temperature. If animal can maintain constant body temperature, that is the homeothermic. For example, always human's body temperature is maintained as 37 degrees centigrade as constant. Definitely, human body temperature is always maintained as constant, that is the 37 degrees centigrade temperature, without depending upon the environmental temperature. Though in our surroundings extreme cold is there, our body temperature is not gets decreases. Though in surrounding extreme temperature is present, our body temperature never gets increases. Our body temperature is maintained constant as 37 degrees centigrade temperature, without depending upon the environmental temperature. So that only we are the homeothermic or endothermic or warm blooded. Better example for this is the birds and mammals are with the constant body temperature, so that only they are said to be as the homeothermic or endothermic or warm blooded. These are few terminology which may be very commonly used in the zoology. Next continuation topic, continuation to the branches of zoology. Next continuation to the branches of zoology. In previous class already I told to you what are the various branches which may be there in zoology. So what are the various branches which may be there in zoology, which we already discussed in the previous classes, means one is taxonomy, second one morphology, third one physiology, fourth one embryology and developmental biology, fifth one is evolution, next one genetics, next ecology, next paleontology, next ethology. All these are the branches of zoology. Already we are discussed in the previous classes. So once again I want to repeat what are the various branches which may be there in zoology. Means one is taxonomy, second one is the morphology, third physiology, fourth embryology and developmental biology, next paleontology, next ecology, next evolution, next genetics, next ethology. So these branches are branches of zoology. Again already we are discussed in the previous classes. Next continuation to that is the need of classification. Next continuation to the branches of zoology, continuous topic is that need of classification or need for classification. So why we have to classify the animals, why we have to classify the various animals which may be there in the living world, what is the necessity? Means without a classification of animal, it's not possible to easily understand about that kind of the animals. So definitely for better understanding towards the various kind of the animals which are there in the animal world, A systematic classification must be required. For example, if you are not arranges all your books from the first class to 10th class, if you throw that kind of the books into a room randomly without arranging them into sequence, all of a sudden if you require the science book of 8th class or 9th class science book, then it's not easy to collect that kind of the book immediately. So instead of that, if we can arrange all that kind of the books from the first to 10th class in a room in a sequence as class wise, definitely it is very easy to pick out that 9th class science book within a minute. Means if we are arranges all those books from the first class to 10th class in a sequence as class wise, definitely it is very easy to us to identify that book. It is very easy to easily pick up that kind of the book within 1 minute, within 1 minute period. So that only in the animal world also. Similarly in the animal world also, if we cannot classify this all individuals, if we do not classify this all animals into various classes, into various categories, it causes a lot of confusion to us to understand about the various animals, to easily understand towards the animal world. So that only to avoid a confusion, to betterly understand these various animals which may be there in animal kingdom, these various living organisms which may be there in the animal world, definitely a systematic classification must be required. So what I am saying here that definitely to betterly understand towards various animals, to betterly identify various animals of the living world, a systematic classification must be required. That systematic classification must be avoid confusion to us while we are identifying various individual, while we are reading towards the various individual, to betterly understand that kind of the living world without getting any confusion, a systematic classification must be required. So definitely, what is the definition of classification? What is the definition of classification? Classification nothing but it is the practice, it is the process through which we have to group the animals into convenient categories based on certain easily observable characters. Classification nothing but practice of grouping of animals, into convenient categories based on easily observable characters. So classification nothing but it is the practice or it is the process through which we have to group the individuals into a convenient category based on easily observable characters. For example, all the individuals with mammary glands, all the individuals which are with mammary glands, all such individuals have to be grouped into mammalia. Definitely, easily observable character nothing but in all kind of the mammals commonly in female this mammary glands are present. By observing that mammary glands presence are absent, the animals which are with the mammary gland, that kind of the all animals have to be grouped into class Mammalia. That is said to be as the classification. So classification nothing but practice of grouping of animals into convenient categories based on easily observable characters is said to be as the classification. For example, if all the individuals which are with mammary glands, by observing presence or absence of mammary gland, if we can group them into mammalia, then that is the better example for classification. In this case, convenient category, the scientific word which is used to represent convenient category is nothing but taxa. Convenient category, the scientific word as per the science, as per the zoology, as per the botany, definitely to represent convenient category, what is the scientific word which is used means that is the taxa. Taxa may be represent kingdom, that may be represent kingdom, that may be represent phylum, that may be represent class, that may be represent order, that may be represent family, that may be represent genus, that may be represent species. Definitely, taxa may be represent various categories, various convenient categories can be indicated by taxa. Animals may be grouped into a kingdom, animals may be grouped into a phylum, animals may be grouped into a class, animals may be grouped into order, animals may be grouped into family, animals may be grouped into genus, animals may be grouped into single species. So in that way, taxa represent, taxa indicate the different taxonomic levels, or taxa represent or indicate different levels of convenient category. This is the one convenient category, that is the taxa. This is the one convenient category, that is the phylum. This is the convenient category, that is the class. This is the convenient category, that is the order. That is the one. Kingdom is the taxa, phylum is the taxa, class is the taxa, order is the taxa, family is the taxa, genus is the taxa, species is the taxa. Means definitely taxa can indicate different convenient categories, different levels of convenient category. That category may be kingdom, may be phylum, may be class, may be order, may be family, may be genus, may be species. Again, definitely, what is the branch of zoology which is concerned for this classification of living world? What is the branch of the zoology which may be concerned for the classification of the living world? Means taxonomy. Taxonomy is the branch of zoology that is concerned for classification of the living world. Again, who is the father of the taxonomy? Linnaeus. He is commonly called as father of taxonomy. He is the father of the taxonomy. He is commonly referred to as the father of the taxonomy. As for modern taxonomists, what are the sequential steps which may be there in taxonomy? As per the older taxonomists, there are 3 sequential steps in taxonomy. What are the 3 sequential steps which may be there in taxonomy as per the old taxonomist? Means first step, identification. Second step is nomenclature. Third step is classification. Are the 3 steps which may be there in taxonomy in a sequence as per older taxonomists. But as per the new taxonomist, as per the modern taxonomist, what are the sequential steps which may be there in taxonomy as per the modern taxonomist? Means as per modern taxonomy, the first step is characterization. Second step is identification. Third step is nomenclature. Fourth step is classification. So definitely, as per the modern taxonomist, what are the sequential steps in taxonomy? Means first step is characterization, but as per the older taxonomist, as per the old taxonomy, or as per the older taxonomist, what are the sequential steps in the taxonomy? Means the first step is identification, second one is the nomenclature, third one is the classification. But as per the modern taxonomy, the first step is characterization. What is the characterization? Means at first we have to observe what is the external and internal structure of an individual. and what is its evolutionary history, and what are the structures of the cells in its body, what is its ecological information. Means what? Characterization means definitely we have to observe external and internal structure of an individual before identification, whether it is a reptile, whether it is a bird, whether it is a fishes, and we have to consider structure of cell, we have to observe evolutionary history, we have to observe ecological information. Means what is the external structure of an individual means whether it is resembles like that of the mammal, whether it is resembles like that of the amphibia, whether it is resembles like that of the fishes. So what is external structure of an individual? That have to be clearly observed. Second, structure of the cells. Whether cell structure is look like as the mammalian cell, whether cell structure is look like as the foraminifera cell structure also have to be considered. Third, evolutionary history. Whether it is gets evoluted from fishes, whether it is gets evoluted from amphibia, whether it is gets evoluted from the reptile, whether it is gets evoluted from the bird. So what is its ancestors, from where that is gets originated, that also clearly have to be studied. That is the evolutionary history. Ecological information, whether that individual can be able to tolerate extreme temperature or not, whether that individual can be lives in the water or on the land, what is its habit, what is its habitat. So whether it is tolerate extreme temperature areas or not, whether it can be live in the extreme cold areas or not, whether it may be lives in the darker area or in bright light area, all such information have to be collected. That is nothing but ecological information. In that way, characterization nothing but just before identification of an individual, as it is the mammalia, as it is the reptile, as it is the amphibia, we have to thoroughly study that kind of the individual. We have to clearly observe external, internal structure of an individual, structure of the cell, its evolutionary history, its ecological information. Then only we have to identify that individual as mammalia or as amphibia, as reptile. So based on this information, we have to conclude, we have to confirm, this is belongs to reptile, this is belongs to amphibia, this is belongs to mammalia. Second one is the identification. Third one is the nomenclature. After getting identifying, it is the mammalia or it is the amphibia or it is the reptile. Later we have to provide a specific name to that kind of the individual by scientific manner. That is said to be as the nomenclature. After providing a specific name, that have to be classified into various categories. Means if we can conclude finally, this is the mammalia. Later we have to keep that kind of the individual in the class of mammalia. So providing a systematic position to the identified individual, providing a systematic position to that individual is said to be as the classification. In that way, as per the modern taxonomy, what are the sequential steps in taxonomy means, as per the modern taxonomist, what are the sequential steps in the taxonomy means, first step is characterization, second step is identification, third step is nomenclature, fourth step is classification. But as per the old taxonomist, what are the sequential steps means, identification, nomenclature, classification. Next, how the Jews a lot helpful to us to classify the animal world. How that kind of the museums also helps to us to classify the living world means. Next continuation is the Jews as tools for classification. Jews as tool for classification means how the Jews are helpful to us to classify various individuals. How the Jew acts as a tool for classification of the animal. How that kind of the Jews may be helpful to us. At first, what is the Jews? Means Jew park. That is nothing but Jew park. Definitely in the case of the Jew park, wild animals are protected by ex situ conservation. Ex situ conservation method. What is the ex situ conservation method? What is the meaning of the ex situ conservation? Means other than their birthplaces, if wild animals are protected by keeping them in another areas under the human care, then that is said to be as the ex situ conservation method. For example, if I wanted to protect a tiger, definitely at first we have to collect a tiger from the forest. Later that have to be shifted to Jew park. By keeping the tiger in the Jew park, by providing artificial facilities, if the tiger is protected by the human care, then that is said to be as the ex situ conservation method. Other than their birthplace, if wild animals are shifted to artificially created areas such as the zoos, by keeping them in zoos, by providing artificial facilities to them under the human care, if they may be protected, that method is said to be as the ex situ conservation method. Then in this method or by this method, how it is useful to us to classify the animal. Though we can conserve these animals by this method, how it is helpful to us to classify the living world, how this conservative method is a lot helpful to us to classify the living world means, whenever the wild animal is kept in zoo park, definitely we are able to observe what is its feeding habit and what is its behavior and what is its external morphology. Definitely, by keeping that in the zoo, by keeping that in the zoo park, it is easy to us to easily understand what is its behavior, what is its feeding habits, what is its external morphology. By collecting this information, we can easily conclude this individual belongs to mammalia, or this individual maybe belongs to reptile, or this individual maybe belongs to amphibia. Means in that way, by easily observing external characters of that individual and feeding habits of that individual and behavior of that individual, definitely we can easily categorize that individual into a convenient category. In that way, by keeping the wild animal in zoo parks, we can collect the information about the feeding habits. What is the feeding habit of that individual? It's possible to us to very clearly observe the feeding habit of individual when we kept it in zoo parks only. It's not possible to clearly understand the feeding habit of an individual by keeping it in forest area. So that only by keeping that individual in the zoo parks, we can easily understand what is its feeding habit, what is its external morphology, whether it is look like as amphibia, whether it is look like as the reptile, whether it is look like as the bird, whether it is look like as mammalia. Very clearly we can observe its external features and definitely its behavior, its ethology also can be easily understand by keeping that in zoo park. So by collecting this information, finally we can classify this individual into convenient category. So this is the means zoos are a lot helpful to us to classify the animals, because when we keep them in zoo, definitely we are able to collect the information towards the feeding habit of that individual, external morphology of that individual, behavior of that